Are you conducting a systematic review and are stuck with 100 scholarly articles that you need to extract data from? This video is for you. Normally, researchers follow 8 main steps when conducting systematic literature reviews. These steps include 1. Formulating a research question. 2. Developing a protocol. 3. Conducting systematic searches. 4. Screening and selecting studies. 5. Assessing study quality. 6. Extracting data. 7. Synthesizing and analyzing findings. And 8. Interpreting findings and writing the review. In this video, I'm going to assume that you've gone through the first 5 steps in your systematic review journey. This video will therefore focus on how to extract data faster from the scholarly sources that you retrieve for your systematic review. The example topic that I'm going to use for this video is effects of social media on teenagers. In this video, we are going to conduct a systematic review using Nvivo through the following steps. 1. Fetching scholarly sources from databases online. 2. Import the sources to Zotero. 3. Import RIS to Nvivo. 4. Come up with a query protocol. 5. Perform text search query in Nvivo to fetch content. 6. Put the data in themes and categories. 7. Export framework matrix. 8. Show how to clean up article metadata. 9. Export classification sheet. And 10. Visualize scholarly article metadata. Let's go and fetch some scholarly sources online. If you know of databases like PubMed, let's search PubMed or even Google Scholar and search our topic inside such a scholarly database. 2 ways to do that. So let me just search in PubMed, which is one of the most common databases. So let's search our topic in PubMed. You can see there are very many. Is social media bad for mental health and well-being? So remember the topic is effects of social media on teenagers. So is social media bad for mental health and well-being? Exploring the perspectives of adolescents. So that's one. Most of the times PubMed will not give you the PDFs, but I will show you, although not quite an ethical way, but a way we can extract PDFs for different scholarly sources, including those that are not shared freely. So a meta-analysis of the association between adolescents, social media use, and depressive. So this one is I'm just picking the most relevant articles. Social media influencers and adolescents' health, a scoping review, children and adolescents and the digital media. The use of social media modifies teenagers' sleep-related behavior. I'm just getting social media usage and its effect on the psychological health of adolescents. Potential of social media in promoting mental health in adolescents. So you see all this. Impact of social media on the health of children and young people. So we have this article. Although the full article is not provided, I can come here, copy the DOI, and I can go to a site called Sci-Hub. This is not that ethical, but I'll still show you, because if you are stuck and you need to access these articles and you don't have access to your library, sometimes some of these schools don't give you access to all these databases, you can use this approach. Let's paste the DOI in Sci-Hub, and then we are able to access the full PDF. You can see the full PDF. So let me save this, download, and save that there. Right, so that's good. Let's look for another article. This is the first one. We already fetched that. We have a PDF. Let me try a fourth one. So I have 2 articles. Let's save this in our folder. Let's keep going. Let's find another article here. Click on Sci-Hub, paste. Perfect, it's available. Let's download this. Remember, these are the articles that we're going to import into Nvivo. I don't know where that went. Oh, okay, by default. So another one here. Another one here. So let's paste the DOI. Perfect. Save that. Let's try to find another one, so that I may have at least 3 to 4 sample articles that I can use to show you how to conduct a systematic review using Nvivo. This one is present. Save this. Let's find another one. It's available. Perfect. So Let me close Sci-Hub now. Let me close all these articles. And let's go back and see how many articles we've extracted. You can see we've extracted very many articles. Once we obtain the articles from scholarly databases, such as PubMed and other databases related to your specific discipline, we import the articles into Zotero, then we export an RIS, then we import the RIS into Nvivo, and then we come up with a query protocol. So let's do that. Let me go and open Zotero. Zotero is a reference manager. It's a free reference manager. So Zotero manages our references. We are going to use Zotero to ensure that we have a format that we can import into Nvivo. So we don't import the PDFs manually into Nvivo. No, we use a reference manager like Zotero, Mendeley. There are very many free reference managers. So I'm going to create a new collection and call this, I can call it exactly how my topic is. So I'm going to use this topic and I'm going to create a new collection in Zotero called Effects of Social Media on Teenagers. On the effects of social media on teenagers, I'm going to import all the articles that I have extracted. Remember the articles? So I'm just going to grab them. So I select them, drag and drop them inside the right collection. I want to import all of them here. Exactly. You can see they are being imported. We have 3 of them. It's taking time, but they are being imported in our folder or in our library. And then, why do we use Zotero? Because you can see what Zotero is doing right now. It's going online and collecting all the metadata, all the information related to these articles. You can see it's even renaming them based on their titles. So Zotero fetches all that information, date of publication, DOI, all this information, and organizes articles better. You can see that's what's happening automatically. So it's done. I press close. All the articles are imported into Zotero. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to right click on my collection, Effects of Social Media on Teenagers. Then I go to export collection in RIS format. You see it's in RIS. Then I click OK. Perfect. So let's just save it. So that RIS is the one that I'm going to import into Nvivo before I start conducting my systematic review. Okay? We can go ahead and close Zotero. Let me interrupt this video for a minute to inform you that I can help you conduct systematic review with Nvivo. My help would include importing all your articles inside Nvivo, conducting the necessary text search queries, and capturing all the most important information according to your query protocol. I would then export framework metrics that you could use to synthesize all the data from the different articles in your systematic review. See the link in the description and contact me right now for help in your systematic review using Nvivo. And now let's go and open Nvivo. We are using Nvivo 15, but Nvivo 14 can do the same thing that I'm doing. So if you have 14 or 15, you can use either. Let's open Nvivo and then import the RIS so that we import all the articles in Nvivo at once. And then from there, we can be able to go and conduct a systematic review. That means we extract only the important information based on our review protocol, and then we capture that information. Now we open Nvivo. Let's create a new project. We can call this systematic review. Click on next. Do not or never autosave your project because you can lose it in Nvivo. Always click manual save and display save reminder every 15 minutes. So create project. So this is a systematic review that we are going to conduct. Let's keep tour. Okay, close that. Now, how do we import all the documents together in Nvivo, the documents that we want to analyze? Maybe you have 100 documents that you want to conduct a systematic review on. I'll go to import in the main menu. Then I go to bibliography. Remember we used Zotero, right? And then I go to where I saved. You remember the RIS I just saved. So I saved the RIS here. Here we have it. This is the RIS Research Informant Systems document. Then open that. Then click import. I'm not changing anything. So we are importing all the files with all their metadata inside Nvivo. That's why it's better to use a reference manager, because Nvivo is able to capture not only the PDFs, but also the metadata, which might be important in other sections. Perfect. So after we click on import through Zotero, this is what we get. We get files, or the files with the right, and we get all the file details in the reference section. You can see I have so many duplicates, but no problem, I can always go and delete them. Okay, so let's focus on the files. These are the ones that we are going to analyze. Now, before we go to extracting important information from our scholarly articles, for us to conduct a literature review, we have to know what are we looking for. That's why we need a query protocol. So let's formulate a query protocol. For example, let me double click and open our document. A query protocol is simply a plan of what you are going to get or to extract from your materials. For instance, I can say that, let me voice type, query protocol. So for example, I can say that I want to look at methods. I want to look at study type, recommendations, proposals for future research. Then I want to look at specific issues related to effects of social media on adolescents. Probably I want to explore the phenomena of depression, and maybe I want to look at social life, and so on and so forth. So the query protocol that we formulate includes all the keywords of the issues that we want to review in our document. So what is the main reason why you want to conduct your systematic review? There are very many keywords that you may want to explore. So the query protocol highlights all the keywords. For example, depression, I might add another word, stress. Okay, so I add all the keywords in the protocol that I want to fetch in Nvivo. And now we can go to Nvivo and conduct a text search query on all our articles. So we are assuming we have very many articles. Let's go and do that. So to look for specific information in your articles or to conduct a systematic review with Nvivo, you simply go to the files, Control A, then you can go right click or use the top button here. I go to query text search. Now in text search query, I'm going to limit myself to using single or exact words to get more accurate results. Let me show you what I mean. So for example, the word methods or methodology, I can use the word methodology because it's more specific, and then I run the query on all the articles. Let's see which methodology. So Nvivo gives us results, and then we click on PDF. We don't want to click on summary references. If you look at my right, you can see I click on PDFs. Let's look at that. Where do they talk about methodology? The use of self-report methodology for assessment of time spent on social media is problematic in general. That doesn't really infer to that, okay? But when you look at this study as a whole, let's double click and let's look at the study as a whole. You can see that this is a meta-analysis. So that's like a review. Let's go back to our text search query. Let's click on the second article and see. So methodology, as part of sleep education program conducted in middle school, teenagers from 6th and 7th, 9th grade were invited to complete online questionnaire on sleep habits with teacher supervision and after parental consent. Okay, if you look at the methodology here, it's a quantitative study. So I can come and highlight this whole paragraph or the whole section, go to the code section, right click, create a container for what we want to find, methodology. So create that. The methodology, we are going to have two examples. Drag and drop this. I'm not going to put it inside that. I want to code this as quantitative, or to get that information under quantitative, and click OK. So quantitative, okay, then drag and drop this inside this methodology, and then aggregate coding from children, and you see basically it's a quantitative study. So that's how we capture the information. Okay, let's go and try to find something else, just because it's just an example study. Okay, actually the study type should be, or the study type is the one that we should be doing there. So quantitative or qualitative. Let's look for something like depression. What do they say about depression? Again, right click or highlight all articles, right click and go to query, text search query. Let's search for the keyword depression. Nvivo helps us to search for information without having to read all the articles. That means you're able to speed up when you're conducting your systematic review and explore very many articles and capture all the important information. Look at that. So depression, let's see where depression is highlighted. So the Association of Adolescent Social Media Use with Mental Symptoms, especially depression, has recently attracted a great deal of interest in public media as well as the scientific community. Some studies have cited statistically significant associations between adolescent social media use and depression. So let me highlight that statement. If I want to capture that, remember, drag and drop. Now this one, I can drop it inside the container itself because it talks about depression, and depression is my topic. So my code can be depression, or I can even get codes for it, but that's what that article talks about, depression. I can go find another place depression is mentioned, highlight that, drag and drop. So that's how we capture all the information and put it in containers that we can then use to synthesize to write our final systematic review. Basically, that's how we import scholarly articles inside Nvivo using Zotero in RIS format, and then this is how we extract information. After we extract information, what's the next step? The next step will be to export a framework matrix. So once we get all this information and put it in the right containers, we can go to create framework matrix. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is to ensure that all my files, I right click on all my files, create as cases. So I create them as cases. It means that I don't have any classification, by the way. Just click OK. So these are just files. So when I create as cases, it means that I can go and create a framework matrix and just call it 1, 2, 3, then go to rows. Now in the rows, I can select all the articles, right? Remember, these are the articles we want. And in the columns, I can go select what I coded, the information I want. Let's get information about depression and all the studies that talk about quantitative. So this one will not have much information. But if I did more of this kind of fetching information, I could have gotten more. So I get this kind of a table. Click on the auto summarize. Okay. And then we can export this, so that right click, export, and let's see what we have here. So we get an Excel file with all the information that we captured in Nvivo in a way that we can compare the information across different articles. Let's see what we have. For example, what did this scholar called Ivy 2020 talk about depression? If all these other articles I had coded for depression, or I had extracted information for depression, it would have been put here. That information would have been put in these rows. You can extract information from all the articles in one single document and make comparisons and be able to synthesize your data. So basically, this is what we call a framework matrix, which is the point of using Nvivo, because we can use this framework matrix to make our data better. Okay? So that's what we can be able to do. We can use this framework matrix to be able to compare data from different scholars, large sets of data, and the data that we've captured during the coding process or text search query, we can be able to compare it across different articles. So that's how we get the framework matrix. Now, after we get the framework matrix, we can go back to Nvivo, and we may want to clean up metadata or this metadata information and then plot it as graphs. Let me show you what I mean. Here you can see we have metadata information on the author and the year. For example, if I go to the year, I right click. Remember, I'm in the file classifications reference section. If I go to year and visualize, I can draw charts. If I had many articles, I would draw. So most of my articles are not assigned, and we can edit labels, or we can edit select data, so that we say that do not include unassigned. So let's click, you see. Right now, I didn't import very many articles, but if we had articles or very many articles, we have 4 articles from 2018, 2 articles from this year, and we can even chart that as pie charts using the options at the top. So we can plot metadata information as pie charts. And we can also delete. Let's say we do not like this information, we can delete that. We don't like edition, we can delete that. So it gets deleted across all participants. We don't have a second author, delete that, right? We don't have a place of publishing, delete that attribute. So we can clean up these attributes. Why? Because we can always come back to the file classifications and double click on the file classification and reference section and export this classification sheet that we can show the articles we had, where were they, and we can even export this. Let me export this so that you can see. Export to, they are saying export to Citavi and all that. Let me just press Ctrl Shift and E to export this in Excel, and I want to just go to the folder that we are using and save that and click OK. All this is a lot of information. Some of it you may not need it, but we can go and clean it up ourselves. For example, let's say title is good, secondary publisher, we can delete that. We can delete publisher. Let's leave the volume. Number we leave, section we delete. So we can clean up and have a very good chart showing on very good Excel sheet showing all the metadata related to our scholarly articles, including the article title, the year of publication, the author, the volume, the pages where this article occurs in journals. So basically that's how we can obtain all that information. So that's how we can do all that. What have we reviewed? We have basically gone through the whole step of conducting a systematic review using Nvivo, which includes 1, we go fetch the articles from scholarly databases. 2, we go and obtain the PDFs for the articles. 3, we import the articles into Zotero, which is a reference manager. 4, we export an RIS from Zotero. 5, we import the RIS into Nvivo so that we capture the articles and their metadata. 6, we develop a search protocol or a query protocol where we highlight all the issues that we want to obtain from our articles. So the query protocol includes all the keywords that we are going to use to conduct text search query in Nvivo. Then after developing the query protocol, we come to Nvivo and we perform text search in all our articles. And then we extract all the information that we get from the articles and put it under code section and in different containers. Then after that, we export a framework matrix by going to create and exporting a framework matrix. Remember, a framework matrix has all the information that we extracted from the articles in a table format in a way that you can be able to review and compare it. And then after that, we clean the metadata. After we clean the metadata, we can be able to visualize using different kind of visuals such as charts, pie chart, bar graphs. Or we can be able to export a clean classification sheet that can provide all the information that we analyzed for the systematic review.